Hey guys, how you doing? Happy Thursday. It's that time again. So we're going to do a little live here today, and I want to speak a little bit more on energy. So I know last week I came on and I spoke about clearing energy, right? So last week's live, and for you guys on Instagram, I'm super sorry that I'm sorry that last week's live didn't upload correctly. So if any of you guys on Instagram also follow me on Facebook, it was working there, the upload. I know that some of you guys like to kind of watch me with your morning coffee the next day, or later at night when everyone has gone to sleep. So all is good, and so I'm always wanting to do these lives to kind of just give you some things to think about, give you some things to get inspired about, give you some ideas that you could kind of maybe implement in your life. Again, it's for you to do or not do. I'm just sharing. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about, energy again. Last week we spoke about energy. We spoke about energy clearing. I spoke about the importance of being able to clear out that energy and not bathe in energy. In our homes and in our office that, isn't feeling right. So we really want to kind of clear that space out and be able to have, good energy kind of in there and get rid of what isn't serving us energetically. So last week's live was all about that. And I posted on my page also some recipes on how to make wonderful clearing, liquid to spray sage. And so that was all last week. And today I really want to talk about kind of commanding, positivity and commanding what goals that you want to have in your life through decorating, through the use of using energy as we decorate. How you guys doing? So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes here as we're going to get going. And I'm really excited about this topic because I believe in this topic a lot. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to share with you has been things I've been doing very intuitively for probably 25 years. And when I was kind of wanting to do this live and kind of creating, I always get very inspired and literally, this could be a weekend workshop on Feng Shui. So there's no possible way we're going to be there's no possible way we're going to be able to address everything today, obviously, but I just want to kind of highlight some things, some easy steps on how to, on how to really work with this wonderful energy and how we can command that energy, that there's actually areas in our home that's like command, places. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about Feng Shui. I'm going to talk about colors. Color is energy. And for any of you guys who have done color readings with me, where it's an intuitive reading that I do, I go into your auric field and I become aware of your colors, your auric field, your colors. And those colors, when I'm working with those colors, there's huge scales from left to right as far as shades of pink can be from the cool tone all the way to the warm tones, and the same with greens and blues and yellows. And so the palette is so enormous when I'm doing aura readings, and when I'm reading somebody's colors for a session. With Feng Shui, you don't have to have that. They're really working basically on the colors of the rainbow, and so it really is a much easier color palette to work on and to learn from, and it's very easy that way. And so I want to keep today's live kind of easy. I want to talk about how you can really decorate with being able to consider the goals that you want both at home and at work. A lot of us are working from home, and so it becomes even more prominent to being able to step into our work environment and having that energy flow, that chi really flow through our home. So we're going to get into it in just a minute, and also into our business. A couple of things I just want to talk about really, really quick, because I'm just going to let a couple of people load. And then, how you guys all doing? First of all, let me just say hello to you guys real quick. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Chris. Hey, Lori. Hey, Joyce. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Joanne. Hey, Kathy. Can you do an auric reading in a half hour on a Friday? Yes. So they're called color readings, and they're 30-minute sessions, and my 30-minute sessions are only done on Fridays. So yes, I can. I absolutely can. We have different colors that are around us, and they mean different things to different people and how they're showing up in your auric field. Anyway, so I'm getting all these calls. Okay, so hey, Sherry Mack, how are you? Hey, David, how's it going? Hi, Jack. Hey, Pat, how you guys doing? Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Okay. So a couple things I just want to talk about first and foremost. Some people have been asking me, recently and in the past, if I was going to be teaching mediumship. And I've always been a little bit on the fence about that because I didn't know if I wanted to commit myself as being a full-time teacher, because I really love giving readings. And it's really hard, to be honest. It's very hard to be a really good medium, really show up for your clients all the time, and then also be a full-time teacher and to actually teach mediumship. I really feel oftentimes you kind of have to pick one or the other. And I'm not willing to give up my readings. I really love working with the spirit world and creating that healing for my clients. So I've always been a little bit on the fence about really incorporating both. And I know some people do it, but for me, I just go so in it. I don't really feel I can really do both full time. And so, but what I decided to do, I'm going to give it a trial run for any of you guys who are mediums, any of you guys who are intuitives, any of you guys that are trying to, bridge a little bit more of a connection with the spirit world. I'm doing what's called a development circle group. I'm going to hold them on Mondays at 5:30 Pacific time. They're $10. And what I love about it is you'll learn from me. I'm going to teach a development group where I want to keep it to about 8 or 10 people tops. I really want this to be something that somebody wants to commit with on a regular basis. I believe it's important that as a medium and as you're training and you're really learning, that you really put the time in and you dedicate time and space to do that. And so I'll do it on Monday nights. It'll be 2 hours, 5:30 to 7:30 Pacific time. They're $10. You can get a ticket to join. You can get a ticket to join on my website on my upcoming events page. So the first one I'm going to be hosting is going to be on the 25th of October. I'm going to give it a trial run. And if there is an interest in it and people want to do it, and this is something that you would like to do and you'd like to learn from me, I'm going to every week take on something different, a new aspect of mediumship. I really want those that are going to learn under me to be well-rounded. I want everybody to be able to show up the best way they can as a partner for the spirit world, to be able to give the communication out the best. And so I'm passionate about it. I want to bring out everybody's best potential that sits within them. For each person, it's going to be different. And so I'm going to work each week in different areas, and then we're going to practice, and we're going to do that. And I'm going to watch how you work, and I'm going to help you unfold yourself better. So anyway, it's a development circle. I'm going to be starting Monday, October 25th. If you're interested, I'll do it if there's 8 people. So if you guys are interested in wanting to do that, please join me on Monday nights. I'm passionate about the work, and if I'm going to tackle this, I really want to give my everything on those Monday nights to help train and bridge you guys further. So if you're interested, or you know somebody that is and you would think that would be good, it's only $10. It's 2 hours and you'll learn with me. Okay, so that's going to be that. I need to tell you that also real quick, and then we'll get going. And then I have something really exciting to tell you what happened to me this week. This was amazing. So I have to share about that. What happened yesterday morning. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so I have 2 tickets left for my second small group reading. That's going to be Tuesday, October 26th. 5 o'clock Pacific time. So there's 2 tickets left, and the one on the 22nd is already sold out. The 22nd has 2 tickets left. So if you're interested, my upcoming events page, you can get a ticket for that. Okay, so that's kind of what I have going on. So we're going to get going in a second. We're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about Feng Shui. We're going to talk about color. We're going to talk about the energy of color and how it's so important to put certain elements and certain colors in your home, in certain places in your home, and why that's important. Okay, so really quick, I just want to tell you a fast thing that happened to me, which I was just over the moon about. You guys know my guides are very vocal. I have very vocal guides. I have guides that are very much on this journey with me. They are very much teachers, and they love to come in. I have been very blessed to have a very strong relationship with mine. And so yesterday, I was walking and I was listening to Taylor Swift in my ears, in my AirPods, and I'm walking as I'm doing in the morning, and I was listening to a song, and as I was listening to a Taylor Swift song, the song went in the background. And if you remember, like I talked to you about years ago when my kid's father stepped in to a phone conversation when he had transitioned to the spirit world 3 days prior, how he stepped in over the telephone. And it's actually the exact same thing happened where the music went in the background and I could hear it barely, and then the voice came forward. So my female guide, as I know, I have 2 main guides, both Egyptian and male and a female. The female stepped in and she spoke over the voice of Taylor Swift. She became the background my guide stepped in, and I just have to share what I ran when I ran home. I wrote it down, and she spoke over and she said, "Your life is your journey. I am here to help you on it. Call upon me." And then Taylor Swift came back. What do you think about that? I mean, and I share this because we all have support on our life journey. We all do. And I am just very open to receiving, and I have this lovely communication with my guides, but we all have support from the spirit world, whether you realize it or not. But I just love that. I was like, literally, no matter how long I've been working with my guides and how prominent they are and how vocal they are and how they always come forward, I always say spirit spontaneous. I never know when they're going to step in, when they're going to pop in, when they're going to give me a message, when I'm not channeling. When I'm channeling, of course, I know they're coming in because that's my intention. But they'll come in and give me little surprise visits. And yesterday morning was one. And I just thought that was lovely. What do you guys think about that? What do you think? Hi, Pat. How you doing? You're going to try Facebook. Okay. You lost sound. Is there audio? Uh-oh. Are we losing audio? Is it not working? Okay, you guys can't hear me? Maybe there's something wrong with my app. Try Facebook, guys. So what do you guys think? Hi, Anita. I love you too, honey. Thank you. Hi, Lynn. Good evening to you. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Hi, Christina. How are you? Nice to see you here. Okay, so what do you guys think about that? I think that was just amazing. I was so in love with that. So you guys have to let me know if this is actually working. Maybe if the sound is not good on Instagram. All right, I'm actually, okay, so I'm just going to kind of get going. I love that story. I think that it shows how hard you're working on your connection. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, you hear me. Okay, good. Melissa, so Facebook hears me fine. Looks like maybe Instagram lost sound. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about energy. I want to talk about Feng Shui. And I also just want to make just another disclaimer really quickly in case somebody should make comments on your feed. If you're commenting and somebody else comes in and comments and it's somebody wanting to ask you for a reading, I've had this disclaimer before. Understand I don't know who they are. If they're trying to lure you onto their page, I have no idea who this person is or what their intention is. So in case that happens, I recommend you don't respond, but it's up to you. Just need to put that out there. So in Feng Shui, so let me just ask you guys, are you sometimes feeling a little stuck? Are you kind of like really wanting to manifest things in your life and you find like it's not working, it's not happening? There's areas in your life you want to have success in and you're putting effort in that area and you're really not making any headway. You're putting a lot of work into things and you find like you're kind of swimming against the current, like it's not going easy. Would you resonate with any of that in your life? Let me know. Mark it in the comments. Let me know if that makes sense for you, because this will help you a little bit with Feng Shui. So a lot of us have worked on our mindset. We know and understand that when we have an intention, that it's important to put focus to it. When we want to have a good outcome, we have to put our mind in a positive way. We understand that. That makes perfect sense for us. We are, and we often do that. And yet we can find ourselves going through life trying to have the right energy. We're spending ourselves in gratitude. We're finding ourselves, really wanting to make things happen, make shifts. We're trying to unblock some of the blocks that we are kind of having, and we're just not making any headway. Right? We're sitting in gratitude. We're walking in nature. We're trying to stay positive. We're setting our affirmations. We have spent time working on law of attraction. We all know what that is. We've all studied it to some degree. We've all watched The Secret or read the book The Secret. Are you with me? But sometimes we're doing all of these things and yet we feel like it's not really working. We're not really making things happen. Does that resonate with any of you? Can you guys understand any of that? So Melissa understands that. Kathy says, yes, it sucks. Joanne says, absolutely, this happens, especially in the past few years. So even with our intention of wanting to be better, wanting to keep ourselves more positive, wanting to be in the right direction, trying to put positive thoughts out there, keeping our focus where things are, trying to stay positive and not go negative, we still find ourselves sometimes things not moving. And what I just really want to ask you is, have you paid attention to your environment? Have you paid attention to the areas in which you spend so much of your time, your work, your home? Have you looked at it? Have you done an inventory? Really, like maybe tonight, walk your space at home, walk your rooms, walk your kitchen, walk your bedroom, walk your living room, your office tomorrow, and see how is it really looking and feeling. So tonight I'm going to give you an exercise on how you can walk through your space and give an exercise to yourself that will connect with your own energy and to see if anything in your space is resonating or not resonating with you. So I'm going to give you a little exercise of that tonight. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Paula. How you guys doing? So I'm going to give you a little exercise to kind of help you to see if there are certain things in your space that isn't really jiving with your own energy, right? So a third of our success, our money flow, our relationships, all really, so much of this, there's a third of it, we have like a third of our success kind of comes in different areas. And I'm going to talk about these three really important areas that sometimes we placed a lot of focus in, and some things we can't have a lot of control in, and some things we have absolute control in. So I'm going to talk about these three areas, and these three areas each have a third of manifesting in our lives. And I think that maybe we might find one of this area not to be one that we've put a lot of focus in. So when we're wanting to work in manifesting things for our life, right? We know the secret, we know how to do that, we know we're understanding about that. We have a mindset, guys. We have a mindset. Your environment also has a mindset. So it's not just you, your environment in which you live in which you spend a lot of your time also has a mindset. And that mindset of your environment could very well be sabotaging your goals, your dreams, and your wants. So Feng Shui is about helping you in the areas of success. It helps you in the areas of health, well-being. It is in the area of helping you in your relationships and also in your spiritual growth. So there are these three aspects that I mentioned, a third, a third, a third. And so I'm going to talk to you about this. The very Feng Shui masters speak about these different aspects in our life and how they work together in manifesting. So we have what's called heavenly luck, right? So our heavenly luck is basically us, it's our destiny, it's our karma, it's our contracts when we came to this earth, it's our it was our intentions of what we wanted to do, our life journey, right? My guides are working with me a lot because I deeply believe my purpose in life was to heal. It was to heal, and mediumship was a way to do that. That was my destiny. I know that for a fact, although it took years for me to really come to terms and understanding of that. I'm very clear of that path now, you see. So we never have to worry about when we reach that, you see, as long as we do reach our path in our life. So sometimes we feel like we're not really on our road and we're not really feeling we're on our life path, but it shows up at the right time in our life, so we need to be patient. But we have this heavenly luck. That's our destiny. There's not a lot we can change about that. That's our contract. That's like when my guide came in today, which is one of the reasons why, yesterday, which is why I shared it. They said, I am here to help you on it. Call upon me. So she's speaking about my path, my purpose, my goal, my healing work. I know she was referring to my work. So anyway, so that's destiny. That's our karma. That's our contract. There's not a lot we can change about that. Too much, we can a little bit, but not too much. If we end up deciding to move somewhere, that could affect it a little bit, but it'll have to refind its way to us, you see, okay? Because it's our destiny, it's our karma. And then we have what's called human luck. And our human luck is really what we all know about. It's manifesting, it's law of attraction, it's putting where our focus is. So the heavenly luck is 1/3 of our manifestation. We're here to do this and we're going to do it. And it's going to show up in our life when it's going to show up, and that's our karma. That's what we're going to do, and it's going to show up when it's right to show up, and it might show up multiple times in different ways in our life. That's 1/3 of our manifestation. And then we have then we have our human luck. It's our manifesting. That's our law of attraction. That's where we're putting our focus, where we're putting our attention. That's our affirmations that we're having. That's the emotions that we're feeling, that we're putting out into the universe. And that's attracting. That's all our human luck. That also makes up of a third of our manifestation, right? So I think, wow, right? So we can have some control in that, right? So some of us who feel a little powerless, or we feel like we're not in control of things, we actually are, you see. We are. There are things that we're going to need to do in our life that's karmic, that we need to do, that's our contract. Then we have other ways that kind of help make that happen by our desires, by what we want to manifest, and the way we put our focus and direction and attention and how our feelings are going in that area. That's our law of attraction. That's our human luck. We have power of that. And then we have the third area, and that third area is called earth luck. And earth luck is the other third, and that is your environment. The environment you sleep in, the environment you live in, the environment that you work in, the environment that surrounds you. It is filled with symbols, imagery, and colors. Think about it. Any day you are out on the road, on the freeway, at a park, there's stimulation coming to you all the time. There is imagery coming to you all the time. There's imagery, there's marketing, there's all sorts of things that are coming at you all the time that plays on your subconscious. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is not real. Right? So when we are placing things in our environment that affects our soul, our subconscious doesn't know if that's real or not real. So what we place in our environment, how we step in our environment, what we choose to bring in, our control of what we want to bring into our space, into our area, and commanding that and knowing what's good for this space and what isn't, is very powerful. So that's the earth luck. That is basically your environment. That's about your space. And your space has information in it. It has color in it. It's got symbolism in it. It's got imagery. It's got things. There's things that are all over your space, and it is seeking things through the energy of what those items are. And whatever you seek seeks you. And that's sometimes why we have this these offsets of this energy, because sometimes we're bringing things into our experience and into our environment that isn't really good for us. And it doesn't really feel good to us. And we don't always know that it's that color, it's that symbol, it's that element that isn't working with our energy, and it isn't working in that placement in our home. So by making some tweaks in the energy in which we live in and the energy that we work in will be really important. So I'm going to talk about these elements and how we can bring some of those elements very easily into your space and see and play if it doesn't make a difference. Right? And just some simple tips. So what is Feng Shui? And we're not going to get heavy in Feng Shui, because when we do that, it could be a whole weekend course. There's a lot to it. So I want to kind of keep it easy and simple, as the live can't go more than an hour because you guys will lose interest in me. So what is Feng Shui? So Feng Shui is really wind, right? So it's wind and water. So when we're breathing wind, right? When we breathe out, we're creating wind. And so wind is a part of Feng Shui. It's a part of us, right? We're creating wind with our breath, breathing in and breathing out. We're creating this energy movement. And then water, and we are 60% water. So you can understand how wind and water can really affect our body and our system here. So, Feng Shui is also like just a movement of qi energy, and qi energy is both yin and yang. It's both negative and positive, and it's moving. And qi energy is needing to have balance. Feng Shui is about creating balance and harmony within the energy that we bring into our home space. So Feng Shui is about creating energy in our home that is harmony and balance. And when we create harmony and balance in our own home, in our own workspace, it also feeds us. It's about nourishing our spaces that we live in, that we spend so much time in. That's what Feng Shui is, nuts and bolts. All right. So, chi energy flows around us, and it works with a bigger body of energy, our homes, our offices. It doesn't work in small areas. It works in bigger spaces, you know, like in what we're living in, right? So, so really what Feng Shui is it's an activation portal. And that's how I want you to think about it. You working with Feng Shui, the intent is to activate this portal for success, for health, for wonderful relationships, right? For spiritual growth, right? So it's an activating, it's a portal to activate that. So when you begin to activate those areas in the different spaces in your home, you begin to have that chi energy flowing around you and through you, and it's a beautiful thing. So Feng Shui is about your well-being. It's about well-being, and it's about creating this balance and harmony for you in your life that will affect you in a positive way, right? And when you go to work in a positive way, you're going to perform more positively. When you feel more positive, your relationships are going to be more positive, right? So all of this works together in these areas of life, right? So in a minute, I'm going to tell you about the elements here. So decorating with Feng Shui is fun, and it doesn't have to be heavy, doesn't have to be like difficult. It could be very easy. It's about selecting the right colors and the right elements to place in your space. Very simple. And there's only 5. There's only 5 elements we need to work with, and there is only a handful of colors. The colors of the rainbow is what we really got to deal with, and it's about incorporating those. So understanding these 5 elements and placing them correctly will have a huge impact in your success house, in your relationship house, in your health house, in your wisdom, your spirituality. So I want to talk a little bit about these elements. So there's 5. Okay, so there's 5 elements. It looks like Instagram is just not working. I think I'm just going to get off of this. I think you guys aren't on, right? I think it's done. So I think I'm just going to get off of this. Let me just kind of get out of here. Hang on. Just going to delete it. Okay. Oops. Delete video. Okay. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. So, so the 5 elements that we're going to talk about here. So there's 5 elements. We have wood, we have fire, we have earth, we have metal, and we have water. That's it. So we have wood, fire, metal, earth, water. All right? And each of those elements play a part in the chi. So wood is about health. Wood is about vitality and growth. Fire is about passion. It's about romance. It's also a lucky color. The color of fire, red, is a very lucky color. But as far as the meaning of it, it's romance, it's passion. If you don't have a lot of passion in your work, you should bring in some red. Because, fire, bring some candles, bring some fire. Because so you have to think about these elements and say, what area in my life am I missing some of this? So wood is about health, and it's about vitality and growth. So are we feeling we're not growing spiritually? Do we feel like we're not growing in our life? Do we not feel we have vitality in our life right now? We need to bring some wood element into our life, right? Into our space. Fire, as I mentioned, it's passion, it's romance. Do we need a little bit in our relationship in that area? If we do, then we might want to bring in a little bit of that into our bedroom, for instance. Earth element is about protection. It's about stability. Earth is about nourishment. It's about nourishment. It's about feeding you, right? So metal is about structure and discipline, right? So metal is about structure and discipline, and also productivity. So if we're not feeling very disciplined or structured or productive in our work environment, we really need to bring in some metal into our space at work. Make sense? So I'm trying to give you a way to understand this. This makes sense with you? So if you're not feeling productive at work, look around your office. Do you have elements of metal in your space? And we're going to talk about how also these elements of wood, fire, earth, water, and what I say, of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. We can also incorporate that into our space through color. So each element has an incorporating color that if you don't want to actually bring wood in, you could bring in something else, or there's other attributes you could use to bring in wood, for instance. We'll get there. So water is about ease and harmony, right? It's also about flow and renewal. So when we are feeling we need some renewal, if we're kind of going through a place where we're recovering from illness, for instance, we might need some renewal. We might want to bring in water elements into our space more, okay? Again, metal, as we talked about, structure, discipline, efficiently, productivity. Maybe we need a little bit of that in a relationship sometimes. Sometimes we need that in our work, right? So just an area to consider. So wood is a color of green and brown. So if you don't want to bring wood into your space, you could bring in the color brown or the color green. Another thing that you can really do, which is wonderful, is plants. Right? So plants also work as an element of wood. So if you're needing to have more health, more vitality, more growth in your home, you can do this by bringing in plants, or the color green, or the color brown. And you could do that through pillows, through accent things, different things to decorate. You can add these colors in your decorating to bring in that chi of the element of wood. Fire. So again, we talked about that being about passion and about and being about romance and just fiery. So that's an energy. Maybe we need that somewhere in our life. And if we do, you could bring in shades of red, of orange, of magenta, of pink, purple shades. Any of those kind of colors will help illuminate and bring in a little bit of that fire element to you. Also, candles, a fireplace. So maybe put the fireplace on if you're feeling you need a little bit of that. Play with that fireplace a little bit more. Have candles going. Bring in elements of red or these colors that I mentioned, magenta or the oranges in art. I just bought an 8-foot painting that is very abstract, but it has reds and it has purples and it has golds and it's got oranges, like shades of orange, of amber, I mean, and orange is a social color. So the area that my painting is going to be hanging is a social area in my home, and so I want to bring that element into that space so I can have wonderful conversations. Also, red is very good about your. Also, red focuses. Well, we're going to get into that. That's more into your area of your areas in your home. So we'll get there, but. So anyway, so we can decorate a little bit with pillows, with area rugs, with art, things like that too. So earth is about nurturing and grounding. If we're feeling a little, flying off the seat of your pants a lot, you might need to have some grounding, and you can have some grounding just in your environment, in your space. And it also gives you a lot of support and stability. That grounding, it keeps you kind of grounded so you're not flying off the seat of your pants. If you find yourself a little disfocused or just kind of all over the place, grounding is really an element that you might want to have more in your house. So earth, the colors of earth that you want to work on is going to be beiges, it's going to be taupes, it's going to be sandy colors. Things that you can incorporate would also be rocks. Do something in your decorating that incorporates some sand. You can bring in taupe or beiges in your rugs, in your pillows. You see, we don't have to paint our walls red to bring in the energy of fire. We can do it in small ways. On the contrary, I probably wouldn't recommend doing big walls in red or anything like that. We just want elements. We don't want it to take over. We don't want too much passion and fire going in our home. So, but we can do this earth energy with these beiges and these taupes and these things. We could do it with pottery, with items of clay, clay vases, things like that. We can incorporate, which gives that grounding effect for you. So this is something to consider. So if you're finding yourself all over the place, you really need grounding. Sand, rocks. In my beach house, I have rocks in one of my sinks. I use rocks in one of my planters with my greenery, with my succulents, you know. So there's different things that I bring in that because I want the beach house to be very grounding, right? So that's important to have that element there. So my walls are in a natural linen color, so it's very neutral. So there's a lot of grounding in my home. And come to say, at my place at the beach, people always say they feel very hugged and they feel like a cocoon, like they just feel so protected and safe. And it's really interesting because in the earth, it's about support, it's about protection, it's about that. So interesting through the colors, right? Colors are energy. Metal, so the element of metal is really important, and that is, again, it's for productivity, and it's really, I think, a little bit for your mind as well. It's about giving you discipline. So if you don't have any, and you're really lacking that a little bit, and you're wondering, like, why am I not disciplined? Why can't I go on that diet? How come I can't stick on that diet? How come I can't get this job done? Why is it taking me so long to get this project done? Or, you know what I mean? You're lacking maybe some discipline, throwing in some metals. Colors for the element of metal would be white and would be gray. Right? So white and gray. So you could bring that in by having a white chair. It could be gray pillows. You know, my couch in my living room is white and I have gray pillows on it. So I have a lot of metal incorporated in there. It's in a room where I have my fireplace. That brings the fire element in, you know, and then I have this painting that brings in a lot of different colors, including like amber, which is like bringing in social, energy. And so, you know, you mix it. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? You guys resonating? I'm just chit-chatting, but I'll give you guys a second here. So the last element is water, right? Water is about renewal. It's about flow. It could be brought into your environment in the color of blue. Right? If you're really sad and depressed, you probably don't want to bring in blue. That would not be a color you'd want. You would want something more like orange or shades of orange, you know, that would, you know, different shades, coral, you know, things like that, that have that energy of orange within it that will help you be a little bit more extroverted, a little bit more social. So if you're more introverted and you want to be more extroverted, let's add some orange to your color palette. So when we're bringing in water, we want to do this with fountains. We want to do this with mirrors. It's also important when you hang a mirror, you set an intention. When you hang a mirror, that's very important that you set the intention. Also make sure when you're hanging the mirror, it's not mirroring a bunch of junk or a bunch of clutter. It's mirroring something that you want more of, right? We don't want the mirror to focus on your desk that is filled with bills. That's not where we want our mirror to be focused. Does that make sense? That's saying, I want more of that, please. Who wants more bills? None of us. So, you know, we also, you know, we want the mirror to go somewhere that reflects something that we want more of in our life. Right? Does that make sense? So when we're doing water and we're bringing in that element, we could do it through the color blue. We can do it through actual water. We can do it in accessories. We could do it with pictures and paintings that have water, right? That have wonderful scenery of water, but not a scenery of water that's violent or rough. We don't want big crashing waves. That makes us feel unsafe and uncomfortable. We want it to be soothing. We want it to be serene. We want it to make us feel good. Does that make sense? So we really want to step into our space feeling good. And we want to make sure that it's giving us balance and harmony, which is what Feng Shui is about. That's what these elements are trying to incorporate, bringing balance and harmony to our space and then to us. You see, as it goes through our space, it then goes through us. So that's what I just want to say. Okay. So we want to have this wonderful renewal and flow through water. All right. So, okay, now we're going to get crazy because now we're going to talk about more things. But before I get into the next piece, I just want to see if you guys have any questions. So let's see how you guys doing. Hi, Sarah. I'm glad you're here, darling. Hi, Michelle. Good evening to you. What about incense? Sure. Incense is always good. Sarah, as long as, I'm saying a lot today, aren't I? I don't know why. Incense is really good as long as the fragrance feels and smells really good. You know, I just saw something online. I'm going to buy it, and it's from hotelcollections.com, and they have these oils, like diffusers, scents, right, that you put in your diffuser, and they have a whole diffuser thing. It's like $300 or $200 or something, but so I didn't want to buy that. But I love a good smelling house, love it. And so they have these wonderful from different hotels around the world. So like if you guys have been to the one hotel in either Brooklyn, which I was just there a month ago, and the place smells amazing. So this one is from the one hotel in Miami, and you'll see it's called the One. It's a fragrance, and you can put it in your diffuser. I love that. So it feels really good. So I'm going to order the one from Miami. One, it just smells amazing. So I love good fragrance. So if you have an incense that feels good and smells good to you, absolutely. Hi, Jill. Hi, honey. Mandy, hi. Love your hair tonight. Super straight and cuteness. Hi, Mandy from Texas. Thank you. You know, my husband likes my hair straight too. I think he's liking it more than curled. So I think he's changing it up. You know, my dad always gave me advice when my dad was here and he was married. He said to me, my dad always said, always got to give your husband a new look. No, this isn't nice. I mean, he meant it funny, but I mean, don't take it the wrong way. But he says he always wants you to feel. He always wants you to feel like make him feel like he's always with a new woman, you know. But he didn't mean it like go with a new woman, but it's like it keeps it exciting, you know what I mean? And so he always told me to change my hair for my husband, and I've actually taken that advice. And my husband, I think, likes straight hair, and he also likes me in pigtails, and he also likes me with no makeup. All right, enough of that. Okay, hi Sarah. Oh yeah, totally makes sense. I'm drawn to green, health, right? So also understand that your environment and your space, that's a good point, Sarah. I want to elaborate on that a little bit, that your space, you intuitively are going to be drawn to things that you need or not, or it's going to make you feel good or not feel good. That's why I'm going to give you an exercise that you can play around with in your house as you're looking like, is this good for me? Is this good for me? Is this good for me? You could play this little energy game I'm going to give you that's going to allow you to kind of communicate with how the image or the element feels to you. So we'll know to keep it or not keep it. Hi, Francesca. So nice to see you as well, honey. Okay. Hi, Michelle. It's nice to see you, honey. How are you? Wonderful. Nice to see you here, Michelle. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about these elements. We talked about these elements of Feng Shui, the importance of this, and how we can use this by actually bringing in wood or bringing in metals. Or we can also do it through color. Now, gold is a really good color. And my kids always said to me, Mom, you know, because this house has a lot of gold. I've incorporated a lot of gold. You can see my cabinets, the whole trimming is gold. I got a gold clock. I have a gold box. I have a gold M. I have a lot of gold in my home. My image of my guides above, there's horses like running and it's kind of blurred. There's a lot of gold in that. So there's a lot of gold in my office space. I have gold stands on my plants. So there's a lot of gold here. And my kids said, you know, you've been putting gold in our houses like forever. And I had to think about it because, you know, I've had several different houses. And so I went through and I'm like, you know what, for probably the past 25 years, I have incorporated a lot of gold in my homes. And I have always felt very happy and abundant in my home. So gold is wonderful because it works actually with earth and it also works with metal. So you're actually incorporating two elements when you're working with the color gold. So just a little FYI, so if you guys are multitaskers, gold's a good way to build more than one element. Okay, so, all right, hang on to your seats. So, and I'm not telling you got to do this. I'm just going to brush over this very quickly to give you something. You could research this deeper on your own. As I mentioned, Feng Shui really requires like a weekend course. I mean, it could be, there's so much to it. But I just know the steps that I'm sharing with you today will be very helpful for your own mood, your own energy, creating positive chi flowing through your space, your workspace, and your home, and to help you be creative. So if you're not very creative, you know, you want to bring in an element that brings creativity to you as well. Okay, so Feng Shui works on a map. So how they do this is they start at your front door, and Feng Shui is super important for your front door. So your front door is the entrance of Qi energy. So your front door is where energy enters into your home. Now, in my home, I'll use my home as an example. I have a front door. And when you walk into my house, you can see my back door. You can see the back of my house when you walk into my front house. So when you walk into my home, you could see my whole backyard and you can see it through all these windows and you could see it from the front door. Now, I love that because it really creates an open space. But when energy is flowing into your front door, it's going to come in fast. If there's just a pathway right to the next door, it's going to move quick. We want to slow down that energy a little bit. So that's why it's really important to have like a painting in your entrance, have a little table there with something that slows the energy down a little bit. Does that make sense? So we want to make sure that it's not just a nothing space where energy just moves right past you. You know, think of energy as like a visitor. We want to make sure it feels happy and welcome and also stimulated. So we wanted to kind of take a moment to kind of resonate in the different spaces in your house as you're going. So my home has the main area is the family room, which is what you see when you come into my house. So that is a command center for me in my space and where my feng shui in this map is positioned. So really important that I have all my right elements of what I want to achieve in that space with people. And I want communion, I want celebration, I want socializing, I want, you know, all of that in that space. And so how I set that room up was very, very important because that was my main hub, my command center. I'll just call it the command center. So Feng Shui has a map that it goes off of, and it starts at your front door, and it goes with a compass. So I'm going to tell you, so if you want paper and pen, write it down if you want, but your front door is very, very important. And very interesting because last week as I spoke about how when I started doing the energy at the front door of that person's house, how spirit sent me to the front door. So they immediately sent me to the front door. So I had stopped what I was doing. Well, I finished, and then I immediately went to the front door. That is where energy was commanding me because that's where a lot of problems were happening there for her. So, and that's when she felt that whole energy move, was through that front door. So a lot of energy moves and comes in and out through that door. So we really want to make it inviting. We want to make it welcoming. We don't want energy to move out so quick. We want to hang on to that. We're creating good energy. We want it to simmer in our space. So we want to create space, places in our energy. We want a round table if we can, or just an entrance table or a piece of art or a rug at the entrance. Anything that slows the energy down so we can percolate a little bit in your space. All right. So your front door is very important. Also, it's very important with your front door that at the front door, the exterior, that there's some water feature. I'm placing a water fountain at my entrance. So we're getting ready to do our building our backyard and our front yard in our new home here, and we're going to be putting a fountain at the front door. So I believe in Feng Shui and that good energy and that good chi. I want it. So I have to do my part on it, right? So I know the front door having some type of a fountain or having something lush, plants, something welcoming. We don't want a bunch of shoes at the front door, outside of the door. We don't want anything that you could trip over. We want easy entrance. In real estate, they talk about curb appeal, right? So we really want curb appeal for our front door. You know, curb appeal, you're driving by, oh, that house is for sale. You immediately, the first thing you see is the outside, right? Curb appeal. How does the curb appeal look? How does that feel to you? So with the front door, it needs to have good curb appeal, right? So it needs to not have anything that blocks you. It needs to be welcoming. It needs to feel lush. It should have some type of a water feature if possible, things like that. So they also talk about having a black door as Feng Shui. And again, here's the thing with Feng Shui also, you're never going to have perfect Feng Shui. It's not going to happen. Unless you're building a house from scratch and you're able to pick from 20 different lots in all different directions, you're never going to have perfect Feng Shui. So understand that. It's okay. You're not going to have perfect Feng Shui, but we can even just incorporate some of these things. Perfect. So just understand that would be wonderful. So the map, back to the map. So it starts at your front door. You use a compass, and this map breaks up your house in 8 areas, or your apartment or your townhouse in 8 areas. So there's south, north, west, east, and then there's northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, like that. So okay, so when you do this, and so you go to your compass and you find out, okay, south. What is facing south? Whatever is facing south is your fame and reputation area of your home. So that needs fire because red is about success. Red is success. If you notice a lot of men who wear red ties, Donald Trump always wore a red tie. Donald Trump was also very big into Feng Shui. He always talked about how, there's actually a quote I have from him, love him or hate him, but he was a big believer in Feng Shui, and love him or hate him, but he's had some success. He's made a lot of things manifest for himself, whether we liked it or not. He has manifested a lot of things that he's wanted, and he absolutely lived his life with Feng Shui. So anyway, so he always wore red ties. So anyway, red is a success color, and so we definitely want to have it in our south-facing space in our house because that's our fame and reputation. So we have Southwest. So the Southwest area is about partnership and marriage. So perhaps your bedroom or whatever area that is, Southwest facing. It's about partnership and marriage. And so you need earth tones. So, a lot of people think, we need to have red roof, like let's say our bedroom. Actually, this area is actually my bedroom. So bedroom should be very neutral. We don't want a lot of color. We don't want a lot of things that keep us awake. So we're going to get into bedrooms because that's one of the most important spaces in your home. So we're going to talk about that just as your living space and your front door. So the 3 areas really to focus on: your bedroom, your main living area that you spend time in, and your front door. And that would be the 3 areas I would focus most on. And if you wanted to feel ambitious, I would work in your kitchen. That would be the other one. Anyway, so we have Southwest, partnership and marriages. We need to bring in beige colors, earth tones. West is going to be children and creativity. We're going to need to bring in metal or the color gray or the color white in the West section, which is about children and creativity. We have the Northwest, which is really where my office is, and actually where my husband's home office is. And that's for helping people. So isn't that interesting? It's also for travel, but it's for helping people. So actually, my space here in my home is actually Northwest, and it's for helping people. Isn't that interesting? And so in my space, it says here to put gray and white. My rug is gray and white. My chair is gray, but I always have abundance, so I always have gold in my area. And I love mixing gold and metals and silvers and golds and the different color metals. I love mixing that. But so Northwest is about helping people. And so that would be wonderful if that's a work area for you. For me, it happens to be. So gray and white is something that should be focused in that area. North is water. So whatever is facing north for you, you want to have blue, or you want a mirror, or you want some water feature. We want blue in your paintings or in your rugs or something like that. Make sense? Okay, and then we have Northeast. So whatever is facing Northeast for you in your home, knowledge and wisdom. So that would be a wonderful place to meditate. So if you have Northeast in your home, then wherever Northeast is for you, that would be a great place to maybe get a little creative with the divine. If you ever want to like channel your higher self, or if you want to meditate, that would be a good area. And the color, again, you want to bring in is going to be a neutral color, beige, taupe, something like that. East is going to be your family. So East is going to be your health and family. It's going to be, you want to bring elements of wood in, so green and brown. Plants would be great in that area if you're facing East. Green, brown, the color, element of wood. You could do that with plants also, as far as green and brown as well. Southeast, whatever is facing southeast for you, is your wealth and prosperity. So your southeast section of your home is your wealth and prosperity. So, where is that in your home? You might want to spend some time there if you're wanting to maybe get creative with your work, or you want to start maybe blogging some things, or you are, wanting to be creative, thinking about, maybe a new job, a new career, or maybe even job hunting, right? Maybe you want to do that in your southeast section of your home, where it is about wealth and prosperity. And so that is going to be the element of wood. You want to incorporate that as well if it's southeast for you, and that would be green and brown. So you can use a compass. All of our iPhones or our phones these days have compasses. Start at the front door. Where is it? Right? And then you can kind of play around a little bit, and you're going to break this area, your home, into 8 areas. So walk your space, your living room, your kitchen, your bedroom, your front door, your office if you work from home. Where is this in your home? How is it facing? And then we want to bring in the elements to go along with that. And we can bring in the elements, or we can bring in the element of the colors. All is good. A little bit of both is good. right? So using of color is really important. It's really the toolbox for any decorator. It's a toolbox. And, it's important to understand when we're working with Feng Shui, because Feng Shui works with color, that we understand that, light is energy and energy is color, because color is energy and color is light. So when living here in the desert, one of the things I love best about living here is the light. And it's probably in so many places, right? And probably where you live too. The light might be a little bit different, but also gorgeous. The earth has such incredible light. It's such beautiful lighting in earth. And I love the desert because the lighting is very lavender, and it has these hues of purple, and I love it because it's so spiritual to me. And I just love those hues, a little bit of the magentas and a little bit of those lavenders and these purples. I love it. And my dad used to live in Arizona. When I would drive to see him, I would drive through the desert, and I loved driving through it because I loved the lighting. And I said it every single time I drove by. So it's no surprise I'm actually living here now. But I just was in love with the lighting of the desert. And the color has light, and light is energy. And so we have to understand that there is energy and different kinds of energy with the different colors. And so when we're working with orange or we're working with red, it gives us a different feeling. If you sat in a room and all the walls were red, I promise you, you're going to feel very different than if you're sitting in a room with 4 green walls. Green is going to feel way more nurturing and healing to you than 4 red walls. 4 red walls might feel a little overbearing. It might feel a little much. It might feel a little bit too intense. So, but green is a color that you can pretty much use everywhere in your house. There is nothing ever wrong with bringing in that element because it's always of healing, it's always of nourishment, it's always a feel-good color. So green is a color that you can always place everywhere. So just what we want to say there. Okay, so I talked a little bit about energy and how color energy, it moves, and we need to create that wonderful energy. And the easiest way to do this is through colors. That's why I wanted to share. Keep it easy. Keep with the rainbow colors. We don't need to make it complicated. Like I mentioned, in intuitive readings that I do and color readings that I do, I'm going into your auric field. And because I was a photographer for 24 years, my color palette is enormous. So I can work with color very well. That's why the spirit world works with me a lot with color. They work with me with imagery because of my 24 years doing photography. But doing the artistic work and all the photography, working in Photoshop, there was huge palettes of color. So green can go from this scale all the way to this scale. So understand that, in Feng Shui, we don't need to do that. But when I'm doing a reading and I'm becoming aware of a certain hue of a green, it's going to mean different if it's cool or if it's deeper, right? So, but that's because it's giving me communication intuitively. In energy reading for Feng Shui, we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so let me see what else I want to say here. A finger exercise. I wanted to give you the finger exercise. I make little notes here. So a couple of tips, first of all, and I'll give you the finger exercise. A couple of tips here. Really important to kind of help you that you can kind of get going in. Declutter. Declutter is horrible for chi. It's horrible for positive energy. It's not good. It's stagnant. It prevents energy to flow and move. We want it to move and flow. We want it to dance. We want our energy to dance in our homes. And when we have a lot of clutter, or we have a lot of magazines packed up, or we have, just things stacked in places, not good. If our kitchen is very cluttered with stuff, we don't do our dishes, or we just have a lot of stuff on the kitchen. A kitchen is actually a manifestation station. I look at the islands and the kitchen as a place to actually create. So manifesting in a kitchen is big. So that's a good hub to manifest in the kitchen. And if you think about it, we're creating in the kitchen. So that energy is already there. When we're working in the kitchen, we also have fire already because we got the stove, we got water because we got the sink, right? So my kitchen is my sink faces my stove, and that's not ideal because water puts out fire, right? So if they're facing each other, I can't ever have the passion if I don't ever have the water, because the water is always putting out the passion, right? So the water is always putting out the fire. So how do I balance that? Is I bring in earth, I bring in plants. So now I put plants, herbs that smell good, but I have plants in my kitchen that breaks up because water nourishes the plant, you see. And you can use wood to rebuild fire. So they work together. So it's always moving, you see. And so that's why I put plants in my kitchen, because my sink faces my stove. So if you have a kitchen where your sink faces your stove, you've got a lot of the elements going on, but we have to make sure they're positioned correctly. Make sense? So, okay. Never put knives on your counter. Never. Never put knives. It cuts your energy. It's not good. You do not want your knives shown. So if you've got like one of those blocks of knives in your kitchen, put them in the drawer. You don't need to see that. It doesn't present well. It's not a good feeling. It's not welcoming. It's edgy. We don't need it. Also, if you have bookshelves in your home, you want to make sure that the books are pulled to the furthest, closest to the shelf. So we don't want the bookshelves, all the books pushed to the back of the bookshelf. We want it pushed, lined up with the beginning of the shelf. Because when it's mixed up like that, it cuts energy. So we don't want that. We also don't want things like your purse on your shelf. That's not a place. It's very important in your home that you have areas that you house things. You want an area for your bills. You want an area for your keys. You need organization. That's really important. That helps keep your mind clear. It helps the energy flow better. And we want a couple cabinets in our kitchen that are not full. So there's this exercise you can do. Get a couple of brown bags and just start decluttering your house, or start with an area, a closet, a kitchen, something. Make a bag. This is a throwaway section. This is a giveaway section. This is a donating section. This is, I'm going to give this to my family or friends because I don't want to give it away, but I want to give it to somebody important to me. This is not good. I don't need this. So start like making some areas. You can kind of declutter your life a little bit in certain areas to kind of begin to breathe and have that energy flow and move. So that's important. Something else just came to my mind and then it just left me. Dang it. What was I just going to say? I was on that element of that. Darn it. Maybe it'll come back to me. Sorry. All right. So my mind is just going a mile a minute here. So you can map your house out if you want with your compass, if you want to, or you can just take on a few of the things that I've shared tonight to help you with your space and your energy and your chi. And remember that, Feng Shui is about creating balance and harmony in your space, which then nourishes us. Right? So, we need to pay attention to our environment. And remember, our environment is 1/3 of our manifesting abilities. All right. And I'll mention that again at the end, just as a reminder. We want to kind of maybe just do a little housekeeping in our house, just kind of look around and kind of see. And when I give you this exercise to do, you can do this as you're looking around your space. You kind of say, why did I buy that? Or what is it about this picture? What is it about this? And does this serve the space in the way? Is this bringing in what I want in this area in my home? Pay attention to your front door. Get rid of knives in your shelves. Make sure your mirrors are not facing you don't want to have mirrors in your bedroom. And I'm gonna recap that a little bit differently. You can have mirrors in your bedroom, but they can't. It's not to reflect you. Okay, so two things I want to talk about here. So mirrors in your bedroom, you don't want the mirrors to see you. So if you're laying in bed, you don't want to see yourself in the mirror. I have two very, very tall mirrors on each side of my nightstand. I have chandeliers that hang from it. It's beautiful. And it's fine because you don't see me or my husband in the mirrors when we're in bed. Right? So we don't want any reflection. It's not great to have a reflection of yourself either in the television. So in my space, my TV is high, so I don't see myself at all. It's placed high. So we also have to kind of ask ourselves, if we're not feeling really good about ourselves, we're not really think we're measuring up in our life, do we have mirrors in our house that are a little bit placed high where we kind of feel like, we're not leveling up, we're not measuring up. So it's a subconscious thing, that we do to ourselves. So we have to pay attention that the things in our home, in our space, in our environment is speaking to our subconscious, and it is creating the energy of what that item, element, color, thing is expressing to us and how it's making us feel in our space. So it's important that we're choosing correctly in our home, right? Also, if you're single and you don't want to be, look around your house. Are you finding a lot of things that are singular? One chair, right? Or are you finding things that are just not in pairs? Things should be in pairs. If you want to bring in a relationship in your life, then you need to bring that energy into your space. So you should double up on things, right? So you should have sets, pairs. I have a statue in my bedroom of a man and a woman. It's about like this tall, and they're embracing, right? So that's in my bedroom, right? Because that's the space I want to enhance that, right? So that's my romance section. That's my relationship area in my home. And so we want to kind of be mindful of the things that are in our homes. Do we find ourselves having things in our house that is it a picture of somebody alone? Is there anything, any symbolism or any imagery, if you're wanting to have romance, wanting to have a relationship in your life, and you're not really, you seem to be chronically single, is your space aloof to being single? Is your space in an energy space of showing a lot of things where you're solo? Ask yourself. Are we bringing in pairs? Is there things in our home? Like, for instance, we might think, I want love, so I'm going to bring in angels and cherubs. Well, that brings in love, but if we're wanting just the energy of love, that's great. But if we're wanting relationships, angels and cherubs isn't really going to give you that hot romance vibe. Do you understand the difference? So do we want love or do we want romance? It speaks differently, and what you're putting into your space is going to be different. Red is going to have a little bit more of that fire passion, and pink is going to have a little bit more love. Cherubs and angels around your home brings in love, but it doesn't bring in romance. So are we communicating love or are we communicating romance? So what are you telling your space? What is your space telling you of what energy it's having? Does that make sense? You guys, does that make sense to you guys? So I want to give you guys this exercise. Love blue colors, north. Yes. Good, Evie. You're taking notes, learning so much. I love that. Wonderful. Hi, Cassie. Wow, I literally have one nightstand instead of getting the pair. Oops. But you know what? That's the thing. Like, you should have two nightstands. You should have two chairs. You should have something that embodies love of romance, not love of like angels, right? It speaks different. It talks to us differently, so it talks to our space. And like I said in the beginning, your space has a mindset, and so do you. And so we want to make sure we're in sync, that our space is reflective of the mindset we are wanting to attract. So we have to pay attention to our own space that we live in and that we work in. Make sense? Okay, perfect. So, okay, a finger exercise I want to give you. All right, I have the wrong sleeves on, but let's do this. Okay, so we have, so I want you to do this. So your index finger and your thumb, right? So you're going to make this, right? We're going to do this. So we're making a hole. And the other hand, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to connect them together, right? So do you see that? Yeah? So your index finger and your thumb, now I've kind of created a chain link, right? Can you see that? Am I doing that? Can you see that? Right? Okay. So now we're just going to play something for a second. So what I'm just going to say, I'm going to practice for a second. So again, subconscious. So what we're going to do is I'm going to I'm going to tell myself something that I know to be true, and then I'm going to say something that I know not to be true. What is true, I'm going to stay connected. And what does not resonate, does not feel right to me, the link is going to break. All right? So we're going to start with something easy, and you guys can do this at the same time. So get your fingers together. And what I just want you guys to do is I want you to say, okay, so I'm going to say, okay. So I'm just going to say my name. You're going to say your name. So I'm going to say, my name is Monica. It's tight. My name is Sally. I didn't even finish the word Sally. I got to S-A-L. I didn't even get to Y, and it broke. That is not true to me. Sally is not me. Monica was me. Monica, it went tight, right? And so you play like that a little bit. So you can kind of go, I am a woman. I am a man. things that you know. So we practice on something where it's very easy. So do that. Let me know if that worked for you. Because then I can give you an exercise in your home and let me know if that makes sense. Just checking your messages, your comments, guys. Okay, perfect. So try that. So again, middle finger like this, and you're gonna kind of do like, you're gonna see if it just, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor and they hit your knee, and your knee flat, see if your nerves are working. It's kind of like that, so you just, certain thing, if it hits you a certain way, it just, your foot shoots up, right? So it's the same thing. If your hand comes apart easily like that, it just like comes apart like that, then it doesn't resonate. So when you're going to your home and you're walking through different steps, and you want to say, oh, I wonder if this painting is really vibing with me. I wonder if this is really helping my energy or not helping my energy. And just say, how do I feel about this picture? And see if your hand comes apart or not. Or see if it stays strong. Okay, if it stays strong, okay, I think that's a piece that I'm happy with. I'm happy with that piece. Okay, we're good. So move around like that. And this is a really good exercise to do when you're shopping, because who wants to buy stuff and then return it, right? So let's first find out before we put it in the shopping cart and if it's even going to resonate with us before we even bring it into our space. So you can stand in front of Home Goods, pull out something and play with this exercise and just kind of just look at it. And in your mind, you can just say, how do I feel about this? How does this feel to me? Do I like this for me? And see what it does, right? When I look at my guide picture, it's really strong, you see. I'm trying to think, what was it around here that wasn't good that I ended up tossing? Oh, here's what I want to tell you. Get rid of everything that's broken. Bad energy. Don't keep anything that is broken. Anything that's broken, get rid of. Make sure your front door is functioning. Make sure your front door is working. Make sure it's always functioning. Make sure you don't have broken things in your house. Discard them or fix them. Do not let them linger. It creates really bad energy. It's like vampire suckers. So it's like energy suckers. So we don't want to do that. Cassie says, wow, it definitely works. Joanne says it works. Evie says a fun exercise. So, so you start with something about your name, something you know to be true, and that way you can kind of test it on yourself. You can say, okay, there's something to this, and then you can bring it to areas in your home or rooms in your home. How do I feel in here? And then if it comes apart, then you can say, okay, then you can look at it and take inventory of your space and say, okay, what elements could I bring in here? What am I needing? And then you can bring in the proper elements if you need. And remember, like if you're really sad and you're feeling down and depressed, we probably don't want to bring in blue because it's very calming, right? We might want to bring in something more, something that might bring in a little bit more excitement or some passion or some socializing or, so oranges or reds or something like this. If we're coming out of surgery, we might want to have more greens or bring in more plants or, do you know what I mean? So things like that. Jill's laughing, refrigerator. It's an inside joke. Okay. Well, broken things in my house explains a lot, Melissa says. Yeah, they're like, it's definitely energy vampire suckers. And the worst thing you could do is have things that are broken. I mean, and you know what, I'm going to tell you something. Like a lot of this stuff has been very intuitive for me. And for you guys, it really is too. We're all intuitive to some degree. And a lot of times, like, I just know I used to be I guess I'm still a crazy person about it. But I don't let anything be broken and it stays. Like I can't deal with it. I also cannot deal with clutter. I never could. I never could handle clutter, ever. It makes sense because of the work I do. I really need that energy to be clear and moving and flowing. That has always been very important in my life. Even before I did the work, it was already showing up in my life. I couldn't have any clutter at all. My father was such a clutter bug, and I would be so uncomfortable sitting in his space because it just made me so uncomfortable because I felt like everything was coming at me. But sometimes when we get older, sometimes our older parents, they get like that sometimes. And my dad was like that, and it was tough to be in his space, because I felt like it was really uncomfortable for me. So we want to make sure, okay, that we're fixing things that are broken. Don't let that hinder. Make sure your front door, that's your most important space. That's where energy enters into your home. Let's welcome it. Let's be correct with it. Let's bring it in. Don't have shoes. Don't have things that people can trip over. Don't have junk out there. Don't leave your trash out there. You're going to take it out in 3 days or one day. Don't leave your trash out there. Don't do it. Have it inviting. Put some plants out there. Have a wonderful little sign, maybe a little wooden sign that says something welcoming. Make it inviting. It's really important. Invite the good energy in. And then when it's in, we want to make sure it's working throughout our house. So we don't want it to exit too quick. We don't want it to go. Like if you have stairs right at your front door, we don't want energy to come into the front door and go right upstairs. So if you have a home that has stairs right at the front door, you want to have like a piece of art right at that top of the stairs, or you want like a table with like a big structure of like a, sculpture or something kind of like that, or you want a runner on your stairs if it's wood. You want something that'll slow down the energy, right? And like I said, my house, you could see the backyard from my front door, and so that's energy leaving from one house, going in and going out from another door, and so I have to slow down that energy, and so I have to make sure my entrance is nice, you see. So, and then I have things when it gets to my family room where the other door is, that it's open. Also very important, if you want a living room that's going to be very social and have conversations and people and welcoming, make sure that your furniture is on a rug, and at least make sure that the front legs of all your furniture pieces are on a rug. That makes for inviting conversation, and it makes a cozy space and a welcoming space. So that's a Feng Shui tip as well. Also, we want to be able to move around the room, so we don't want to have too much furniture, and we don't want furniture that's going to block us from being able to get to the furniture. So we might want to look at if we have too many tables or too many chairs, or how we can position them differently so there's more flow of energy also in your living room or your family room, because that's where your hub really is in your house. All right. Let's see. What can I do with all my walk-in closet mirrors in my bedroom? There isn't another way to put my bed not facing the mirror. Another thing about the bedroom, let me help you with that also. Really important in a bedroom is it's really important that you have a headboard. So it creates protection. You want your headboard against a wall, but you don't really want your sofa against a wall. So if you have to put a sofa in your family room against a wall, at least move it a couple inches off of the wall so there's space between the wall and the couch. All right. But in your bedroom, you want a headboard. It creates protection. You want to put it against the wall. You don't want mirrors that you could see yourself in your bed. So if ever you see yourself, it's okay to have mirrors in your bedroom if you need to, but it's important that you don't see yourself in your bed from the mirrors. If you do, or if you have a TV that reflects you, which acts as a mirror, then you want to cover it. At least at night, you'll sleep better if you do that. You just will. You don't want to have anything in your bedroom that is, waves crashing on a rock, or, the deep ocean or anything like that, because it's not comforting. It's not soothing. You want your bedroom to be a place of relaxation, and you want it to have good zen, and you have to feel good in that space to do that. So you have to be mindful of what you're placing in your space. Again, if you got a lot of cupids and a lot of angels in your bedroom, probably not making a lot of like whoopee in there, right? You're not really going, not really getting passionate in there, because it's not bringing in the right kind of love energy, right? It's bringing in love, but not really passion. So we want to make sure those aren't in there, right? We don't want to have anything violent or anything rough, or anything that isn't soothing to our soul and relaxing. And again, in our bedrooms, we like to keep the colors soothing, so we do want to stay more neutrals. So we want to stay a little bit more neutrals, and then we can add fire for passion with candles. Make sense? Okay, so let me see what else I want to say about that. So if you have mirrors, you can cover them. Just maybe get something. You could just put some parchment paper over it or something like that, is what I just want to say about that. Okay. I highly recommend working with gold. I leave my closets open at night so I can't see the mirrors. Perfect. Then you can do that. Also, when you are placing your bed in your bedroom, and this isn't always possible for everyone. And again, like I said, you're not going to have perfect feng shui. These are just ideas. If this is something you can do in your space, then do it. But it may not be. So it's just an idea. Then we can do it in a different way. But a headboard is very important. Neutral colors is important. You don't want to see yourself in a mirror. That's important. And you want to be able to see your door from your bed, right? But you don't want to be directly across your door. So you don't want to be, here's your door and here's your bed, so they're facing each other. But you want to be able to see your door from where you are in your bed. Does that make sense? You want to be able to see an entrance and an exit, but you don't want to be in front of an exit or an entrance of your bedroom. Does that make sense? You're welcome, Evie. Does that make sense for you guys? Let me just see if there's something else I could talk about. Do you guys have any questions? I'm talking about all this stuff. Does this all make sense? You guys enjoying this live? Is this helpful? Because last week we talked about energy clearing, and now it's about bringing in energy, right? So yes, last week was about energy clearing and really getting rid of what isn't working for us and taking command of our space and pushing out what we don't want and bringing in that intention of good energy in our space. And today is about learning to decorate a little bit. I'm using feng shui a little bit because that's, good energy. Let me see. Remember the 1/3, right? The manifesting breaks up in 1/3. We have our heavenly, which is your destiny, your karma, all that kind of stuff, your contract while you're here in life, your path here, your purpose while you're here. Not so easy to kind of change. It just comes in your lifetime as it's supposed to. Just be cool with that, be patient with that, but just know that's just kind of happening. And then you have your other one, which is your mindset, right? Which is your manifestation, right? That's your human part. That's your human side, and that is your 1/3 of your manifestation. That's you deliberately, intentionally going out, putting your focus in the right area. Putting your affirmations in the right area, putting your attention in the right places. It's your law of attraction. It's your secret. It's it's doing all of that. That's a 1/3, and then there is the earth, which is what we talked about today, your environment. So, and that plays another 1/3 part. So, and when you have this earth part under control, it's going to make the second one, the human luck, a lot easier, right? Our heavenly luck is kind of how it is. We have our human luck, which is what we control with our manifestation, with our law of attraction. And then again, we have our earth luck. And when that is in check and in balance and harmony, it makes the human luck a whole lot easier to manifest. And now we have these two areas that are manifesting together beautifully. And then we have our destiny, our karma and stuff that's just going to unfold organically as it's supposed to on our journey. So, makes sense? So we want to be aware of our environment. So maybe you haven't played a lot of focus in that, and maybe now you can, and maybe that'll help you. So that's what I want to say. I want to remind you guys, if you guys are interested in doing if you guys are mediums or working mediums or beginning stage mediums where you would love some guidance, some teachings from me, I'm going to be offering these circle groups on Monday night starting October 5th from 5:30 to 7:30, 2 hours. It's $10, and it's just kind of a way I like to kind of give back a little bit. I like to be able to help mediums kind of pull out and bring out those qualities that are within them so you can be the best partner for the spirit world and be able to build upon and dive deeper each week into different areas. We'll talk about clairvoyance. We'll talk about symbols. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things, and every week it'll be a little bit different, and we'll build upon it and to really kind of help give you a little bit of a foundation. So a deeper, stronger foundation that you can grow with. And that's my intention for the course. If it resonates with you, or if you know somebody it would resonate with, some people have asked me about teaching, and I don't want to commit to be a full-time teacher, but I think it would be fun to do a little circle development where I can kind of add my value as a medium, and all that the spirit world has taught me, and I have trained with the best in the world. So anyway, so I'd like to be able to do that. For any of you guys that are interested, you can get tickets on my upcoming event page. Please share it with somebody if you think they would benefit from that. 2 tickets on my October 26th small group reading. It's $89. There's 2 tickets left if you're interested at my upcoming events page. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I want to say thank you to all of you. I have a couple of quotes. So the quotes for I have tonight is: the intent of Feng Shui is to bring harmony to the environment and the home, and in doing so, to the person. Right? Perfect. Always keep in mind that the strongest factor of your Feng Shui is you. And again, it is really important to always remember that we are in control. What we choose to bring into our environment, what we choose to surround ourselves with, is in our control. So we are the greatest factor of our own Feng Shui. Very true. Arranging a home to hold happiness in place is the primary goal of Feng Shui. Feng Shui shifts the energy of your space, which then shifts the energy and circumstances of your life. So don't be surprised if when you start making some of these little shifts and these little tweaks, little easy tweaks in your home, as you do your inventory of your own space, that you don't begin to feel lighter and happier. And this one is from Donald Trump. I told you I had one from him, love him or hate him, but he was a big, he did work with Feng Shui a lot, and he was extremely successful, and he was big into the color red. You don't have to believe in Feng Shui for it to work. I just know that it brings me money. Donald Trump. So for him, obviously, he used it for business. And so those are my quotes for Feng Shui today. I want to say thank you so much for being a part here tonight. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope that you enjoyed this thing. I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going to be not here. I will be back on the 7th of October, and I'm thinking about doing a live on turning pain into purpose. So if that resonates with you and you would like to sit, in a live on October 7th, turning pain into purpose, I'm going to use a little bit of my story, and I will we'll just talk it out. And so let's see if maybe that can't lift us all up a little bit. Again, my lives are all about moving you guys forward in a positive way. My Facebook is all about upliftment, and it's all about being positive. And I always want to share ways to bring out the best energy in you and the best energy around you, and to bring healing in different ways. And sometimes it's in our space, in our environment. Sometimes it's through giving readings. There's lots of ways that we can, and there's lots of ways I enjoy to want to enhance healing and upliftment to my clients. And sometimes these little talks is a way I like doing it. So I hope you resonated tonight with this. I thank you so much for being a part. I know we're over an hour again. I just can't seem to help myself. But I just feel there's always so much to talk. And again, that's why I don't really want to be a full-time teacher, because I think it would be really hard to be a full-time teacher and give readings, because I want to give everything to my readings and everything to my teaching. And, so these little development circles on those Monday nights, I'm going to give it a try and see. I'll need to have 8 people to join if I'm going to move forward with it. So if you are interested or know somebody that would benefit from learning from me in mediumship development, then I welcome you to share this information. Okay, you guys are amazing. I'm so happy to be here, and I wish you guys a wonderful weekend and a wonderful evening, and have fun going through your home and making some tweaks and playing a little bit. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Decorating should be fun. Working with energy should be fun. Having the control of choosing what energy you're bringing in and what elements you want to place and how you want to enhance yourself and your happiness in your space should be fun. So have a good time. Okay, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.